Amanda, welcome to Pardon My Success. It is such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for meeting with me today.
My pleasure.
Get ready, it's the new edition. Your favorite morning meditation. Hey, it's me, pardon my success. I'm a hot mess.
Nobody ever knows my name. I'm always the girl from The Thing. Are you the girl from The Thing? I think there's actually a documentary that's called The Guy from The Thing. And I worked with one of the actors who was showcased on it, and he's a guy from The Thing. And you see him and you're always like, are you the guy from The Thing? And to be fair, his name is really tricky. So I can understand how it's not just like Joe Smith. It doesn't just like roll off the tip of your tongue. But yeah, he's the guy from The Thing because he's just like ubiquitous. He's all over the place. He does Broadway. He does film. He does television. He's everywhere. But he's not like he's not a household name.
Yeah.
You know?
And especially it's hard when you don't have maybe like one role that you're especially known for that people can be like, oh my God, Katrina.
Well, there's a downside to that too, to be known for that one role, because then you're forever that person.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily envy that.
No, absolutely. Getting pigeonholed into like a certain character. Have you really struggled with that at all, do you think?
I don't think I've struggled with that. I think I've been pretty fortunate, or maybe some people would see it as being unfortunate, because I know for a lot of people, it is a dream to be one role and to be forever seen as that one role. You know, like you think of, I think probably, and I don't know any of them personally, but like the Friends actors, they were household names. I think that happens a lot to people who are on sitcoms. I think that probably happened a lot when network television was a little more prevalent and more of a thing. But also you think of people who are on long running television shows like Mariska Hargitay. She is the face of SVU. She is that show. That show is her. And she does great things with that platform. So I doubt that she regrets that at all. I don't know her again.
I did see her at the Eras tour and like walked right past her and was like, oh my God, that's the lady from SVU.
Was she beautiful?
And she was stunning. And she was sitting with Savannah Guthrie from the Today Show. Okay, I thought I had heard somebody say, and now thinking back, it might have been me that said, I think that's Katie Couric. And then I walked around and was like, Miss Couric, would you like an Eras tour bracelet that I made? And she was like, yeah, but I'm Savannah though. Like, and my friend got a video of it, and it's just the most awkward moment of me being like, oh, I'm so sorry.
But do you still want the bracelet?
And she did, and she gave me one too. She gave me a bracelet. I was like, I was so surprised because I was like, I honestly don't know if I would give myself one after mistaking you.
Come on.
But
to be mistaken for Katie Couric is a lovely, smart, wonderful woman. Also, Savannah Guthrie is nothing to sneeze at. That woman is incredibly intelligent. She's a lawyer. She actually went to law school. So she's a journalist, but they bring her on a lot as one of like the talking heads during election time, because she has a great knowledge for the legalities of a lot of things that go on during elections.
Speaking of legalities, what was your legal training like? Kind of preparing for your role and everything on Suits. Like, how did you kind of get into that space where, you had to learn all this legal jargon and like really know what it meant, you know?
I have played a lot of lawyers. And I'm very comfortable playing lawyers. I'm comfortable playing doctors and lawyers, more so lawyers, I would say. My father is a corporate attorney, which is exactly what Katrina is. So I grew up in a house that was, I wouldn't say we like sat down at the dinner table and discussed Supreme Court decisions, but it was, you know, I was used to hearing that kind of conversation. My brother was also a lawyer. I think my dad always thought that I would go to law school too. And there was actually a time when he was like, well, just take the LSAT, just take the LSAT. And I was like, you don't just take the LSAT. I mean, people will study for months, years to take it. And I mean, it's very flattering that he thinks that I could just take it and not bomb. But so I was comfortable with that. And then, you know, whenever I would have to speak in legalese, I would, you know, research. If I couldn't find any information about it, I'd call my resident expert dad. And there was one case in particular that I remember being like, is this what would really happen? And I called my dad, and my dad was like, well, Well, yeah, I could see that that's, that would be something, because obviously when it comes to law shows, you want it to be on the furthest end of possible.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be so ordinary that we would just have a phone call and the case would be settled, or, whatever it is. You want it to be as extreme. And so it's not like a lot of the things that we did on that show would be your everyday court case. They were all above board, but it would be like what would happen if everything else failed leading to that point.
What was your preparation process for that character? What was that like?
I don't know if you know my audition process for that show. I originally auditioned for the role of Rachel Zane in the pilot, and I did not get the job. Obviously, history would be very different. I loved the script. I told my reps, I love this script. I really like this show. And Bonnie Zane, who's the casting director, is an amazing casting director. She's an actor's advocate. She really works to make you comfortable to do your best audition possible. So she brought me in for that show for every single guest star there was for more than a season and a half. So I went in for maybe 10 plus guest stars. Every single female attorney that was coming on that show, I went in and auditioned for it. And I would get pinned. I would have avail checks. I would have great feedback. Most of them I was too young. A couple I just wasn't the right look, whatever it is. I was just so close for more than 10. And finally, my reps called me and they were like, we know you love Suits. You're not going to go in for it anymore. That's it. Because they know what you can do. And you keep going in over and over and over again. And we just think, that's it. They have enough tape of you doing these things.
Lawyer things.
And so I think maybe like a week or two later, they called me again and they were like, so we told you that you're never going to go in again for Suits. And I was like, yes, but so they wrote the role of Katrina for me. So they liked me enough because these auditions, if you make it to a certain stage, the writer's room sees it, So a lot of people were familiar with me going back again.
They've seen so many tapes.
Yeah, they're like, that person again? So I've been in so many times. They wrote Katrina for me, and it was for a 3-episode arc. I still had to audition for it, me. I still had to go in. And so I knew that the role was written
literally
for me.
For you.
Yeah. I'm feeling pretty confidently. And it came down to me and one other person. I think I was approved, by Aaron Korsh, who is the showrunner, creator, writer of the show, who I think at the time it was Ethan Drogan who wrote that particular episode, who basically created Katrina, the name of which came from Hurricane Katrina, because she sort of comes in like a hurricane and tries to mix things up. Whoever it was, whatever muckety muck further up, didn't think I looked old enough. And so it came down to me and one other person. And eventually I got the job. So I was in the second season at the end in episodes 211, 213, and 215. So I was in 3 of the last episodes of the second season. And that was all it was supposed to be. And they liked me. And so I came back a little bit after that. And, with each episode, she grew. And so the original question, how this all started, was what was my preparation for it? But she grew from that. So my original preparation for it was just those 3 episodes, and she was coming in and I needed to understand the show, because I needed to understand the dynamic that I was trying to interrupt. Because I essentially came in and blackmailed some people to be able to get into the firm. And so I needed to understand that. And then my character, Katrina, goes head to head with Louis Litt, who is Rick Hoffman on the show. And so I sort of needed to understand not just the legalese of what I was doing, but also the people with whom I was going to be combative, because that's important to establish an adversarial character on the show. And a lot of people hated me for. And that's just a huge compliment to me, because that means that I did my job and they believed it. You almost always root for the main character. So they're rooting for Mike Ross and Louis Litt, as much as, you know, he is kind of quirky and wackadoodle, and Harvey. They're rooting for those guys, and I come in and I mix it up and they dislike me, and that's great. And I love it. Thank you for that. But I was just a recurring for the first seasons 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I was on another show at the time, 12 Monkeys, which was also working in Toronto. So there were some days when I worked on both shows on the same day. And so another part of what was so important to that show, but also Katrina, is the wardrobe and the look and the appearance of it. I think I maybe worked on both shows twice in one day. So 12 Monkeys was a post-apocalyptic television show. And it started out the first season. My character was Dr. Cassandra Rayleigh, a virologist. And this sounds very foreshadowing, but a plague kills 7 billion people. And it's her job to, you know, try to save the world, essentially. It's based on the movie of the same name. Madeline Stowe played that character. And so my character starts out as a buttoned-up doctor, but by the end of the first season, she realizes that abiding by the Hippocratic Oath and any sane decision is not going to be what saves the world. So I had this incredible arc. By the end of the first season, she's willing to kill people. And so then we cut to the second season, and my character has gone into this post-apocalyptic future through time travel. And I am wearing like combat gear, and I have guns, and they did give me weapons training and fight training and all that. So there were days that I would work in like a full-on tack vest with guns, and we shot in a lot of abandoned buildings because it was supposed to be very gritty and dirty. And then I'd get in the van and go straight to suits, and you know, hair and makeup would kind of like dust me off and straighten my hair and put on the glam makeup, and then they'd zip me into my Prada and set me into, you know, my Gucci shoes, and I'd walk out on set. And really there was something about the wardrobe. People, you know, wardrobe is important visually, but for us actors, it can also really transport you to a place, you know, step you into the skin of the character. And so there was something also about that where I would get into Katrina's clothes, and posturally, you know, it would change me. And I would walk out on set, and my morning would be gone. It would be behind me. And who I was very clear going onto the set from that point forward.
That's insane that you were literally having to go from one set to the other to do such like
not having
insanely different roles.
Pleasurably doing it. I mean, it was, every time I had that chance, I was pinching myself. I knew how lucky I was. There was one day we were shooting in a place called the Hearn, which was literally an abandoned like warehouse. So, I don't know. It's awful. The rats are the size of chihuahuas. Like it is. No. It's condemned. There's like everything about it is dangerous and awful. Good. And perfect for our purposes. And I wasn't able to I worked a lot on Monkeys, and I wasn't able to get to suits to the wardrobe office for a fitting. And so they came to me. So I go to my trailer, and there's like a white cloth laid out on the ground because I'm wearing combat boots, and I have like holsters on my thighs and my tack vest, and it's dirt everywhere, and I'm just filthy. And I open the door, and they're there kind of just like, hello, can you take off your combat boots and put them on? Like there's like this white like drape sheet put out, and like my beautiful clothes. I'm like, I really ought to wash my hands.
Yeah, like let me shower.
Yeah, really anywhere quick. Near these beautiful clothes. Yeah.
Was there a moment in there that you felt like was really your like, oh, I made it? Like this is it kind of moment for you?
No, I think once you feel like that, then you probably, this is my perspective, you don't grow from that point forward. I knew I felt really fortunate. You know, luck is preparation meets opportunity. And I felt like I had been preparing, and I had had the opportunity to have that kind of fortune at that point. And so it wasn't like I felt like I had made it. It was like, thank you for these opportunities. I'm going to continue to prove that I deserve them. You know, With every script I was given, I felt even more challenged, and I was excited that people thought that I could step up to that challenge.
Are there any creative projects that like really come to mind as like your favorite times on set or like your favorite projects to work on?
I think each project that I do, I feel pretty lucky to have that. Most actors will tell you that our jobs are like 90%, 95% more auditioning, for those 5% or less that were actually on set. So every time I have the opportunity to be on set, I feel pretty lucky that I'm one of the people who gets to do what I love to do. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, the first job I ever did in my life, professional acting job, was Center Stage.
I love that movie. I have to tell you, that is how I know you. Grew up a dancer my entire life. I've been dancing since I was 3, And I remember watching Center Stage with my dad, like probably at like 8 or 9 years old and being like, that's what I want to do. Like, that's incredible. And it's not even like the actual, like the dance world is so scary. I don't know how you did it for so long. Like, I would love to talk to you about that. The competition is just so fierce.
But
How was
that's
your
what makes
experience with
it
that?
special.
Yeah.
And it's similar to acting. I've never really chosen a profession that's easy. So, every time I get really frustrated, I get down about not working. I've done this to myself. I chose this. I have no one to blame for this career choice but myself. But I also, at the same time, don't know how much of a choice it was. It's sort of like, this is what it had to be for me. And ballet is really competitive, and it can be really ugly, and it can be so beautiful.
My favorite memories growing up were like backstage of the Nutcracker, watching like the pas de deux. It is so magical. It's like it defies gravity. Like it is the closest you can get to flying. The body shaming and the requirements that it takes to be a ballerina is crazy. I remember being 12 or 13 and us all lining up in leotards and our dance teacher going through and being like, nope, her boobs are growing too fast. You won't do ballet.
You know what? I think probably a lot of that is changing, as society is changing and understanding what's appropriate and people feeling more empowered to speak up for themselves. Hopefully it's changing. But also, not everyone who takes dance wants to dance professionally.
Yeah.
So that's not really a fair observation. Who cares if you are more developed? You might just love ballet.
Yeah.
Who cares? You don't need to dance professionally. There's something very cathartic about dance. I do ballet every Saturday with my son. We take ballet class together. And he's the only boy in class. And he is very boy wild, like throws himself on the ground. 2 weeks ago, he was so aggressive in ballet class, we ended up in urgent care because he just goes for it. Last week on Saturday, we went to ballet class, and then in the afternoon, evening, we took him to this light show in a botanical garden where lights were going and there was music, and he was sort of running around chasing the lights. And I said to him at the end of the day, what were some of the fun things you did over the weekend? What were some of the, your favorite memories over the weekend? And he said, ballet class and the lighthouse show. And it was like, ballet class was right up there. And this is ballet light. Like, he's not like, there is no like Russian training, holding.
They're like, and go, please not ensemble.
He's 4, and it's with me. It's more of a mommy and me class, but there's something really cathartic about music. And I try to contain him so he's not hurting anyone else, but sometimes he just feels it and he goes for it and he hurls himself and he twirls and he spins, and why shouldn't kids be able to do that? Why does it have to turn into the next stage of what your career could possibly be? That's not constructive.
More kids deserve that. I feel like it allows everybody to not only feel more in your body, but able to express yourself. What would you say is like some of the most important people that have fostered your career and your time as an artist?
Well, obviously helping me get to where I am, my mom. She's the president of Ballet Hawaii, and she has been for decades, which is the rival school. I went to the other school in Hawaii.
How did she take that?
She enrolled me in the rival school. Right. But this was before she was president of Valley Hawaii.
Okay.
And I just stayed at the same school. She made me, and that's fair to say, she made me take ballet. I hated it at first. It was too disciplined. I didn't, and we were just talking about this the other day on the phone because I was telling her about my son in ballet class, and she was like, it was such a waste of money and time for me to take you to ballet class. You know, you just looked out the window, you played games, you didn't do any of the things at that age. And she kept at it. You know, she kept taking me. And I remember saying that I wanted to quit ballet, and she said, okay, well, then you take double the piano lessons. And I was like, nope, I'll stay in ballet. She is the one who signed me up for like summer programs. She's the one who made sure I had every opportunity for that. So she paved the way for me to have a career in it. You know, I would get nervous about things, and this is a story I was telling an actress named Emily Hampshire. And at the end of the first season of 12 Monkeys, she had to give a big speech. And we had a lot of background actors in this auditorium, and she had to be very authoritative, and she was really nervous. And I said to her, when I would get nervous with ballet performances or occasionally, you know, when I did piano recitals or whatever, those were short-lived. My mom would say to me, you're Amanda Schull, and you can do anything. And I told Emily that. I said, you know, to just say that to yourself. And she goes, I'm Amanda Schull. And I was like, no, Emily, that's not the lesson.
That's not it. Nope.
But
Close.
she carried that forward. And I've actually heard her in interviews say that. And she says, I tell myself I'm Amanda Schull and I can do anything. And it's become this like joke between the two of them, but also I think maybe there's also something to be said for an actor, especially being another person, being a character.
I think the best part of it is getting the chance to not be you. Get rid of all of your normal insecurities. And that's so cute that she chooses to be you when she wants to exude that confidence.
I should be Emily because I get nervous being me. When I was getting married, the thing I was most nervous about was walking down the aisle as me, you know, and speaking as me. I can be a character and walk down an aisle. I've done it several times. You know, I can give a speech as a character, done it several times. But as me, that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I do want to ask, what is one piece of advice that you would love to give some young aspiring creatives out there?
Oh, well, saying don't give up is so cliche. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say work. The other day, my husband was like, you know, because I'm not working right now. I'm not working at the moment. He was like, why don't you get into an acting class? Find a creative outlet. I listened to Shonda Rhimes talk about how she doesn't believe in writer's block. She said, I know it exists for some people, but for me, it doesn't exist because I don't allow it to exist, because if I'm stuck on one thing, I just move to the next thing.
Yep.
So if things aren't working for you in one creative outlet, but you're an artist, you're a person who needs creativity in your life, move to the next thing. Okay. Find your outlet that can sustain you and light that fire while you need it lit, just a pilot light, you know, for a little while until you have your opportunity to do what you're made to do.
It's hard for me to pick a lane. I have a lot of lanes that I love all of, and I'm very passionate about all of them. And my whole life, everybody has always told me, like, you're going to have to pick something, like, you're going to have to pick one major, like, you're going to have to
pick
and I did
one thing for now.
Like,
it's never going to hurt you to have other creative talents up your sleeve.
Yeah.
How is that ever going to be damaging when you have an understanding of some other field that's going to only enhance and prepare you for your next opportunity?
And always remember, guys, when you're feeling a little nervous, you are Amanda Schull and you can do anything.
Oh, no.
But thank you so much for coming on, Amanda. You are incredible. I love you so much. This has been so wonderful. You have had so much
pleasure,
amazing wisdom. And thank you so much, genuinely. All right, have a good one.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, May. Bye-bye.
Are you PMSing?